The Dallas Stars did a lot of things right, but once again, they simply weren't good enough. Vegas takes game 2 by a final score of 3-1 and takes a convincing 2-0 series lead. Can the Stars pull themselves out of this hole heading to Vegas on Saturday?
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. That was a gut punch from the Vegas Golden Knights. They take game 2 by a final score of 3-1, and Dallas once again finds themselves in a series deficit that feels almost insurmountable at this point against a very, very stout Vegas Golden Knights team. And this was a game where I thought Dallas did a lot of things right. I thought they did a lot of things well, but Vegas at the end of the day was the better team, and they were better in key moments, and the Stars just were not. And the Knights pick up a huge win. They steal both games on the road, and Dallas has to head to Vegas in a series deficit of 2-0. And now they have to find a way, because it almost feels like the season is over, but they have a few more games on the road to see if they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, per se, and get themselves back into this series. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play Store. This one is a tough one to swallow if you're a Stars fan, because Dallas did everything you hoped for coming into what is pretty much desperation mode after losing game 1 on home ice. They come out fast. They come out physical. It was a brutal, grueling game from the first minute on. Some of the hits were incredible. Foxa with a big hit right off the hop. Marchment just completely erased White Cloud behind the net of Thompson. And they were faster. They were physical. They were harder on pucks in the first 6-7 minutes of the game. They did a ton of things right. You get gifted a power play. Robo scores. Here we go. Let's get the momentum rolling. And time again, Vegas shows their Stanley Cup pedigree. They are just so content and so disciplined in their game plan because, number one, they're just a really, really well-coached team. And number two, they have phenomenal personnel. And I got a lot of flack for slobbing on Vegas from game 1. And look, this is why. They're a very, very damn good hockey club. They are stout. They're the deepest D-core when fully healthy in the Western Conference. Hands down. Hanifin, of course, scores the game winner, and everybody for Vegas that needs to make an impact makes an impact. Plain and simple. Thompson was phenomenal. I mean, Dallas gave him all he could handle down the stretch. In the third period, Roope had a glorious look, point blank. Thompson with an incredible save. How many times he just gets a shoulder on it? He got a glove save on Harley, I want to say, in the first period as well. It wasn't like he was otherworldly. He did make some incredible stops, but there was rebounds there. There was rebounds that were loose, and Dallas just can't get to him. You just can't get to him. And I said it after game 1, they have to be the best team in front of their own net and the opposition to win this series. And they weren't. And it's a lucky bounce to some degree that Hanifin scores on. But look, you have 4 green sweaters in front of your own net. Hanifin can't get that puck. Plain and simple. He shouldn't get the puck. And I know it's a fortunate bounce, but Vegas creates that. They create it on their forecheck. They get it to the puddle. You have 4 sweaters there. Like, someone make a play, mark your man. And then, I mean, not even moments later, I want to say it was Johnston in front. I don't know. It was a whole host of bodies. I mean, moments later, when the Stars were trying to find the equalizer, they throw a puck to the crease area. And I mean, there's 3 green sweaters there, and Vegas has 3 white sweaters there marking each star, marking each one. And the Stars don't get to the puck because they're disciplined, sticks on sticks, they're stick checking, and they're just well disciplined in their defensive zone. And they put on a clinic. They really did. They really did. In a game that I thought Dallas really controlled the tempo well. The second period wasn't great by any means. That 4-on-4 stretch was incredible. I mean, Otter, holy cow, the save he made. And then Thompson follows it up on Wyatt Johnston. But Dallas just hasn't had that moment. There's always those moments in playoff series, right? Like Pavelski 4 goals. And I know they lost in that game, but the power play just going berserk against Minnesota. The Johnston goal in Game 7 against Seattle. They just have those Stars just haven't had one of those. Vegas has had them all. They've had them all. Thompson was great. He was great in the game. And this is what makes Vegas so dangerous. And maybe I didn't eloquently explain it after my Game 1 reaction, but they're so content with playing the game their way and letting the game come to them, because mainly they have a ton of Stanley Cup experience. They have a ton of pedigree, and they just go about their business. And when they get their moments, they strike. I mean, every time they execute. And sometimes the game just comes down to execution. Sometimes you just get beat. And the Dallas Stars got beat. They didn't execute well enough. They had some looks. Thompson was there. Would have loved for Otter to get out and at least challenge Hanifin a bit better. It was a great shot, too. I mean, right above the pad, under the glove. That's where they teach you to shoot. For all you young kids out there, it's a great spot to score goals. But Otter was deep in his crease. But Hanifin should never get that puck. I just, yeah. And that's what it feels like it comes down to once again. And Dallas worked extremely hard. They worked extremely hard. I have no gripes about their effort. I mean, they worked their bag off. I mean, they played a good hockey game. They played a good hockey game. But good is just not good enough against a Vegas team that is really good. Okay, they're really good. They're not an 8 seed. I mean, plain and simple. And I'm not going to gripe into the cap situation or whatever. Like, I'm wasting my breath even getting into that. They're a Stanley Cup. They're a Stanley Cup team. And, I asked the question multiple times, are they going to be able to flip the switch? Like, they haven't been great all year. What a joke for even bringing that up. They've had no problems. And when they need something, they get it. Stars break through on the power play finally. They're playing out in front, and then the Stars get puck watching a bit. Suter and Harley both just get caught up ice, and then Eichel, nice little handoff to Marchessault, who's just becoming a Stars killer. He's been excellent. He's been phenomenal, and yeah, and it's not like anybody's been massively impressive on Vegas. I'm like, oh wow, he's taking over the game. Like, yeah, Stars can't stop him. They just go about their business. There's a very workman-like, blue-collar vibe. And yeah. And they take game 2. And well, I'm not going to say the series over. If you lose game 3, it is. But I mean, game 2 felt like a must-win. especially with how good this Vegas team is. And I know people are going to gripe at me for saying that, but look, guys, sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. You got to call a spade a spade. They're really good. And the Stars outplayed them for a good majority of the game. They did. But they weren't good enough. And it's frustrating. It really is. It is really frustrating, but Vegas maybe just has their number. There's a few bounces that don't go your way, of course. They at least showed some resiliency killing off that penalty in the third, because that call, I thought it was good night. I mean, Stevenson should have buried that chance on the power play. I was like, this game's over. As soon as they went to the power play, I was like, oh, this game is over. But they did well to at least hang on and kill it to at least give them a chance. And Otter is really good down the stretch. He at least kept it a 1-goal game, but Dallas just couldn't muster up enough offense. And that's where you get into, like, Pav has been pretty much irrelevant in the first 2 games. There's no sighting from him, which is unfortunate. He's just a step slow. There's no timing. Hintz hasn't been able to muster up much in the series. And they tried to ignite something. They put Pavelski with Ben and Johnston, which I don't love. I don't love adding a slower guy with Johnston. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And there's some bright spot, like Stankoven continues. I mean, he's been one of the best players through the first 2 games. And Marchment was hurt. We'll have to see what comes out about Marchment, because the Stars were down to 12 forwards with Fox and Marchment. Just got an update here. No update on Marchment and Foxa, who left in the third period. So yeah. And I don't want to, like, Vegas, Dallas is a good hockey team. Okay. Like, they're good. And I feel like it is really negative, but I don't know. I can't spin it. And I don't think I've spun it that much throughout the year. I feel like I'm generally fair with most of my takes or opinions on the team. And you can agree or not with them, but look, they just simply weren't good enough tonight. And that's a tough pill to swallow. It's really tough it's tough to swallow that, because they played a good game. It's just not good enough to beat a Vegas team. You cannot make a mistake. You almost have to play flawless hockey, because they have so many good players. You have to play incredible, and Stars have a lot of depth. You have a lot of depth. I'm serious. If the Stars get out of this series, I think it would be a cakewalk the rest of the way. I truly believe that. Like, I don't think you could face a tougher team besides maybe Florida on the other bracket, but like in the Western Conference. And I mean, Colorado's good, and like Winnipeg's good, and Vancouver's good, but I don't think they're Vegas. And I had questions coming in, but they've answered them. They've answered them in the first 2. Let's dive into some of the more concerning aspects of all of this in the first 2 games. You're not getting enough from some of your guys, just some of your best, and just not enough from what you were hoping was your advantage this postseason. It was your depth, and you haven't got much out of it. And we'll discuss that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person, and yeah, I have a competitive side. We all do. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you have heard of it already. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you can play not 1, not two, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. And the best part is you can mess with your friends. You can charge them rent on some of your iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. And now you can also heist their vaults to get the riches for yourself. And the leaderboards will also show you the biggest Monopoly tycoons. So it is amazing for someone that loves Monopoly and just has a competitive side in general. Monopoly Go. It obviously will feed your competitive side, and you can team up with your friends as well. You don't have to just take the riches. You can build up your world in tournaments, and you can earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the Apple Store or Google Play Store. Alrighty. So I kind of touched on it in the first segment, but you haven't got anything out of Pav, which is unfortunate. He's just been kind of neutralized in the game. His rhythm's been off, and this isn't an indictment on Pavelski as a whole either. I feel like his line at it has kind of followed suit. They're out of rhythm. How many times they've gone offside in the series? Good Lord. They've gone offsides more in the first two games than they probably did all year. The constant offside, which probably is a side effect of Vegas just playing really good defense, and they keep tight gaps. They force you to make plays at the blue line before you want to make them, and maybe that's a side effect of it. But Pav hasn't really been a factor. Roope's just kind of been there, and he's had a look here and there. He shows the flashes, but just you haven't had really much success out of the Johnston line. You haven't. I made the push to play that line more, and then you could tell Pete DeBoer was trying to at least conjure up something late, but I don't understand breaking up your best line to add Pav to it. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And another curious thing and a curious decision by Pete DeBoer is putting Dodonov on that fourth line. And Dodonov has looked fine. I haven't been like, oh, Dodonov's been terrible and he's a liability. It's not that. It's just we've been touting, we've been marveling at how good the fourth line has been this year, especially down the stretch. They have been phenomenal, like contributing offensively. And now you make the change to put Dodonov on the fourth line. I don't get the sense for wanting to change that up for a head coach that has, been pretty well documented. Like he keeps things the same and he kind of just likes to roll with what is working. And I know Dodonov's a good player. He trusts them and all that, but what is he providing that Smith can't? And Dodonov played not even 10 minutes in the game. He probably played 8. He didn't play much in the first 2 periods. He had to play a little bit more because the Stars were down 2 men. He played 9:46, but I want to say entering the third period, he maybe had 6 minutes. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And they tried to put Dodonov up with who was it? Duchene and Seguin at some points. And look, I applaud him for trying. They needed to try to generate something because obviously it wasn't working. So I'm not going to knock him for trying to make adjustments, but Dodonov was curious to begin with, just putting him on a fourth line that has been really, really good. But Duchene hasn't factored in at all to this. Seguin hasn't factored in. they're without really much of anything in the first two games. They pass up a lot of shooting opportunities. They seem to be overthinking a lot of their chances, and they've done a lot of good work. They've worked extremely hard. Their forecheck was really good in the game, but and Racer just sums it up. I mean, he said it so many times in the first two games. They did a lot of work. It was really good. It just doesn't doesn't amount to anything. And that's why Vegas is good, man. They just kind of let you do what you want, and they're not gonna let you get a really dangerous chance away. In Dallas, I probably outchanced them outchanced them at 5-on-5, 30-17. They outchanced them 13-3 in the first period, and you come out of the period tied. I think that it just goes to what makes this Vegas team really, really tough, man. Really, really tough, because you felt like you controlled everything. You did almost everything perfectly. Of course, you make the mistake and they score, and you're down, or you're not down, but you're tied. And a level of frustration has to be building, dating back to last season, dating back to earlier in the year. Like, Vegas just has their number. And sometimes maybe the hockey gods just aren't on your side. Simply aren't good enough. Simply aren't good enough. Like Jake Ottinger needs to be spectacular. He just has to be unbelievable. He just has to be unbelievable. And he hasn't been in the first two games. And I'm not trying to put the blame on him, but with the way Vegas defends, and with the inability for Dallas to execute right now, you have to hold Vegas to 1. you have to hold them to no more than 2. And that's really, really difficult to do. But I mean, you can kind of just go up and down the lineup. There's just, Miro could be doing a lot better. I mean, Harley could have more of an impact. And I thought Miro had a nice game. They were engaged early. Harley was really good at first. I think he struggled a bit down the stretch. I do want to show some love to Lundqvist. I thought he's really held his own. I thought he's really held his own. In the second period, he made a nice play on Howden in front of his own net off a puck that went off the end wall. And I know all of this is just in one ear out the other due to the result, but I thought Lundqvist has looked pretty good in the series. I know this doesn't provide any solace to any of you, but I've liked the way he's played. But yeah, plain and simple. Like, and I already came out of game 1 feeling this. I think Vegas is the better team. And that's hard to, I want to say my heart says that, but my mind doesn't. Like, my eye test, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, Dallas is, just as good. Like, they're playing well, they're doing all, but I feel like Vegas is the better team. And it sucks to say that. It really does. I don't love hearing those words come out of my mouth, but I'm trying to shoot it straight. I really am trying to shoot it straight. And I still have hope. Look, I mean, Stars went down 3-0 and at least got it to game 6. I wouldn't be surprised if they got it to game 6 again. I mean, I wouldn't, but it's a tough uphill climb heading to Vegas in game 3. Can they do it? That's the question. Can they do it? I don't know. I really don't. Let's discuss that question a bit more in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is the place for you if you're looking to hire. You need to hire, you need Indeed. It's the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. You can find top talent fast by using Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools. They have assessments, virtual interviews, and matching. You don't have to wait. They give you the resumes that match your job description the moment they sponsor a job. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job, and they can match you with quality candidates whose resumes fit Indeed your job description right when you post it. With Indeed, you can start hiring fast. So go ahead, join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're trying to grow your business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applicants that match your must-have job requirements. So visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. It's Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So the Stars now trail in the series 2-0, heading to Vegas for Game 3 on Saturday. They have a couple of days in between for travel, heading to Vegas, and now we're in a do or die time. I mean, if they lose Game 3, series over. I don't think I'm standing on a limb saying that. I will say that. If you find a way to win Game 3, then yeah, we're having a bit of a different conversation on Sunday, and Dallas has been a very good road team. They've been pretty good on the road in the playoffs in recent years. So you have to take some solace in that maybe they can go in there and play with some desperation. They did a year ago to some degree and won a few games to at least force it to Game 6. But it's going to be tough. It is going to be very, very, very difficult. That is for sure. Pete DeBoer, after the game, they're the Stanley Cup champions. They have everyone figured out. DeBoer says Vegas knows what they're doing, but he feels his team is still evenly matched. And I do agree with him to some degree. I think the Stars are evenly matched. Like, I think they can play with them. They aren't executing those big moments as I mentioned. They haven't had that. Oh, there it is. Like, there it is. And Otter had that wonderful save in the second period, but they couldn't capitalize on it. They couldn't score at the other end. Johnston scores that goal immediately after. Oh, my Lord, the place goes berserk. You're up 2-1. And maybe we're having a different conversation today, but it didn't happen. I'm talking a lot of hypotheticals in the first two games here of this series. It's not a question that they can play with them. They've shown they can. It's just, can they execute when it matters? Can they make that play when it matters? And every time Vegas needs one, they get it. Every time they need it. I mean, Stevenson in the third period, the couple of phenomenal defensive plays. The one on Dodonov with the puck just sitting there at the bottom of the circle. And then Stevenson comes in and let me nudge that one out of the way. They get that. Thompson comes up with a big save. Marchessault gets the big goal, ties the game at 1. Hanifin gets the fortunate bounce, whatever you want to call it. Buries the what ends up being the GWG with his first Stanley Cup playoff goal. But yeah, it's tough. It really is. And look, I don't count the Stars out of it. Like, they're a veteran squad. They know what it takes. Right? I mean, at some point, you just got to figure it out. And that's where the Stars find themselves. You just, you have to find a way to win 2 games in Vegas. I think you have to win both. You have to win both to really have a real shot in this series. And maybe I'm being a bit Debbie Downer here. But that's just the way I feel. It's just the way I feel. It feels like if you don't win both in Vegas and come back home in a 2-2 series tie, I don't see how they I don't see how they win the series with how really good Vegas looks in game 2, and they were better from game 1. I can only see them getting better because they're fully healthy. They had never played that lineup heading into game 1, and they're just the ball's just going to continue to roll for them the more they win. And as I said, they have that like, oh yeah, we're going to win. You can feel it. Like, oh yeah, we're better. That's the best you got. It's the best you're going to throw at us. Yeah. And it's a tough draw. It's a tough draw for the Stars. They got a really, really tough team. Look, and I don't want to sit here and like, I believe they can get back in the series. I still believe there's a part of me that says, oh yeah, if they win game 3, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Playoff series can flip on a dime. They really can. But yeah, that's a gut punch. It hurts. It hurts that you lose both on home ice. Not the first time it's happened to anybody. Won't be the last. Yeah, it's a gut punch. So yeah, I truly don't have a lot. I truly don't have a lot because I was mulling over it after Hanifin scored. Like, what can you really say? They played good. They did a lot of things right. Just not good enough. Just not good enough. And that's a really, really tough pill to swallow. I wish you could just be like, oh, well, they did this, and this. Wrong. And this guy was terrible. And their effort was terrible. They weren't ready to play. Yada, yada, yada. It's just not the case. You just got beat. And that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. Sometimes you just get beat. Sometimes you just run into a better team. And maybe Vegas is a better team. That's just my bird's eye view of it. Do I think the Stars can beat them? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you got to find a way to beat them 4 times. And I don't know if the Stars can do that. I really don't. Would love to hear your takes. Would love to feel what you guys are feeling because, yeah, I mean, after game 1, maybe I was a bit down on it and felt like a lot of people were thought I was just riding Vegas, but I mean, good club. I don't know how else to put it. Like, and I like watching good hockey too, man. I really do. And I feel like they're just really good. As much as it pains me to say that. And I want the Stars to win. Okay. I really want them to win. Do not get me wrong. I really want them to win. Alrighty. We're not going to lose hope. Okay. Not yet. We're going to end this on a high note. Okay. We're going to end this on a high note. Stars win game 3. Who knows what will happen? Series can change. You go into Vegas, you win a game. Maybe the Stars find some confidence. You just got to get the monkey off the back at some point. Got to get it off. Hey, maybe start Wedgwood in game 3. I'm being dead serious. Start Wedgwood. Give him a look. At this point, who cares? Right? I think you got to throw all the... You got to, as Razor has once said, sometimes you just got to pee in the kitchen sink. It's time to pee in the kitchen sink. It's time to pee everywhere in the household. It's just everything is your restroom if you're Pizza Boar. Everywhere. Just find a way to get it done. Woo! Yeah, that was a gut punch. Stars fall in game 2. Final score of 3-1. They now trail in the series 3-0. once again, you guys have been phenomenal. I appreciate everybody that's hopped on board, has been taking in the content. And look, I do put a really, really strong amount of effort in trying to give all you wonderful people out there, all you Stars fans, just great content night in and night out. So I hope that sometimes bleeds through into the product, into the episode. And it's a safe place. It's a safe place. Go in there, vent in the comment section. Just let it all out. This is a safe space. But the wonderful thing is season's still alive. Your season's still alive. It's not over until it's over. So we got to have some hope here, Stars fans. Got to have some hope. So a lot on the line, though. Well, that'll do it for today's Game 2 reaction episode. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday to the best of your ability. The weekend's here. We get a couple of days off. It's going to be better. But Game 3 is on Saturday, and it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, Stars fans, and we will see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.